Imagine you've spent years grinding away in a massive multiplayer role-playing game. You follow every rule perfectly, completing assigned tasks and leveling up, all to reach the ultimate high score. Then the screen goes entirely dark. When the connection returns, you look around and realize the high score is completely fake. The developers abandoned the server years ago. That epic main quest you were told to follow never actually existed. That sudden dropping sensation in your stomach, that feeling of a complete system collapse, captures the reality of nihilism. Forget the stereotype of a depressed teenager wearing all black. As a philosophy, nihilism examines what happens when the rules of reality break down. Philosophers treat nihilism as a family of ideas that systematically deny different parts of our world. It is an active process of peeling back the layers of reality, one by one. This animated map shows how these negations stack on top of each other. Our world separates into distinct levels, from the daily rules of human society, down to the structures of knowledge, and finally to the fabric of the universe itself. By pulling apart these levels, we see that nihilism rarely functions as a final state of despair. Instead, it serves as a tool for dismantling the illusions we live by. Let's start at the surface layer of our game world. This is the space where we interact every day, filled with the laws, governments, and social norms we all agree to follow. Political nihilism looks at these institutions and decides they are hopelessly broken. It calls for the total destruction of our current factions and systems without offering a single blueprint for what to build in their place. Right next to that is moral nihilism. This is the realization that the game's good karma and bad karma meters are entirely made up. They aren't hard-coded into the laws of physics. Philosophers call this moral error theory. It argues that right and wrong do not exist as independent facts in nature. Instead, our moral systems are arbitrary human inventions, personal preferences that we dress up to look like objective rules. When you pull the foundation out from politics and morality, you expose a startling reality. The rules guiding how we govern and treat one another are entirely optional, player-made constructs. Now we plunge past society and look directly at the underlying source code of our reality. Here, the negations cut much deeper. Epistemological nihilism tells us that our in-game minimap is completely broken. It argues that no matter how much evidence we gather, objective, justified knowledge is impossible to achieve. We are forever trapped in our own limited perspectives. Alethic nihilism takes this a step further. It argues that we don't just struggle to find the truth. The entire concept of truth is an illusion. As this code unravels, it shows a world where there are zero objective facts out there to be discovered. But staring closely at this level reveals a massive logic loop. If a philosophical system claims that nothing is true, then that claim itself cannot be true. It instantly eats its own tail. Even with that paradox, the damage is done. Once you lose faith in knowledge and truth, the very language and logic we use to communicate completely break down. From the broken code, we pull all the way back to look at the macro-level skybox of the game. This brings us to cosmic nihilism. At this layer, the universe is vast, cold, and entirely indifferent. It possesses no built-in purpose, no grand design or predestined path that cares about human goals or suffering. During the 20th century, this cosmic indifference became a lived reality for millions. The devastating world wars and genocides stripped away the long-held belief that a benevolent universe would somehow protect human dignity or hope. That outward emptiness inevitably turns inward, creating existential nihilism. This is the moment a person realizes their own individual life lacks any overarching purpose or divine script. When you stack these layers together, the moral, the alethic, the cosmic, the player experiences total system collapse. They are left floating in a vast, meaningless void. Staring into that void is heavy. When you realize the rules are fake and the universe is silent, the obvious question is, do you just quit the game? The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche looked at this exact moment in history and saw something different. He famously described the collapse of traditional religious frameworks as the death of God, an inevitable cultural shift rather than a reason to surrender. For Nietzsche, tearing down the old rules was a necessary step. By clearing away the rigid, pre-packaged beliefs of the past, humanity created the empty space required to invent entirely new values of our own. A few decades later, Albert Camus examined the friction between our deep desire for meaning and a universe that refuses to answer us. He called this the absurd. His solution was to meet that silence with passionate, defiant revolt, living fully in spite of the emptiness. For these foundational thinkers, an empty server is rarely a graveyard. It serves as a blank canvas, demanding a creative response. Discovering that there is no pre-written story does not mean the game is over. It means the game has changed genres. Without a main quest, reality is a digital sandbox. You spawn into an empty landscape, and the responsibility to build architecture is entirely yours. This is the empowering core of existential freedom. Because the universe refuses to hand down an inherent meaning, you possess total freedom to construct your own purpose from the ground up. We can start viewing our beliefs as tools for living. Instead of hunting for truth facts hidden in the void, we can choose values that give our lives direction and help us build a world we actually want to live in. Nihilism operates as a wrecking ball for outdated illusions. It demands the destruction of the old rules so that the real game, the one you design yourself, can finally begin.